What is it about Meghan Markle that drives the tabloids and petty commentators to scrape the absolute bottom of the barrel just to create a false snub narrative? I mean, here we go again. The British press has taken an innocuous interview comment from Mariah Carey, of all people, and twisted it into yet another Meghan-slighted headline. And honestly, it's pathetic. It's reaching so far, you'd think these so-called journalists were auditioning for Cirque du Soleil. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen the clip or read the context, Mariah Carey, the global music icon, the woman with more chart-topping hits than some of these tabloid writers have functioning brain cells, was being interviewed ahead of her performance at Sandringham. And she was asked, "Who have you met from the royal family?" She mentioned Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, and said she thought she was cool. That's it, that's the clip. And yet, the tabloids went into overdrive. Mariah Carey snubs Meghan Markle. Oh, please, let's apply a little common sense here. First of all, Meghan is not technically a working royal anymore, and even if she were, it is entirely possible that Mariah didn't think of her in that split second when she was put on the spot. That doesn't mean there's any beef. It doesn't mean there's drama, and it certainly doesn't mean Mariah has anything negative to say about Meghan. But of course, the moment the Sussex name is involved, the tabloids smell blood. Or rather, they imagine blood that isn't there, and go to work trying to create another "Meghan is unpopular" headline to feed their bitter little audience. Let's not forget, these same papers were the first to report, very proudly I might add, when Meghan had Mariah Carey as one of her very first Archetypes podcast guests. That conversation was genuine, warm, and deeply personal. Meghan, like so many women of her generation, grew up admiring Mariah not just for her voice, but for what she represented: independence, power, glamour, and surviving in an industry that tried to chew her up. And Meghan was open about fangirling during that interview. Now yes, in that podcast there was a moment, a split second, when Mariah called Meghan a diva. And Meghan, in her refreshingly open way, admitted she was momentarily thrown off by it. Because let's be real, the word diva can carry some heavy baggage. And for women of colour in particular, that label can be weaponized. It can mean difficult, demanding, full of herself. All those loaded terms people use to put strong, confident women back in their place. Meghan explained exactly why she tensed up. She's had a lifetime of people projecting stereotypes onto her. But here's what the anti-Meghan crowd will never tell you. Mariah immediately clarified that she meant diva in the best way possible, as in fabulous, as in you walk into a room and you look incredible, you carry yourself with grace, you have style, you have presence. And once Meghan understood the compliment, they laughed about it. They unpacked how one word can mean entirely different things depending on who says it, how they say it, and who's hearing it. That's the whole point of the Archetypes podcast, to explore how labels are applied to women and how those labels can limit or empower us. But you see, the tabloids don't like nuance. They don't like context. They like to cherry-pick moments, strip them of meaning, and slap on a misleading headline designed to rile up their base of Meghan haters. And now they're trying to make it sound like Mariah Carey is distancing herself from Meghan. Honestly, it's laughable. Mariah Carey has survived the most cutthroat entertainment industry in the world. Do you really think she's going to get pulled into some petty royal family gossip war? Absolutely not. If you ask me, the real story here isn't Mariah Carey snubs Meghan. The real story is how desperate the press still is to isolate Meghan, to make it seem like no one of influence likes her, no one will acknowledge her, no one will work with her. That's been their playbook from the beginning. Remember when Meghan's Archetypes podcast topped Spotify charts all over the world? The British press immediately pivoted to industry insiders claiming it was all hype, that she'd run out of guests, that no one would touch her brand, and yet there was Serena Williams, Mindy Kaling, Paris Hilton, Trevor Noah, Margaret Cho, and yes, Mariah Carey, happily coming on to have in-depth conversations with her. And let's be real about what's happening here. Meghan isn't just a celebrity. She's a woman who has been open about her struggles, about mental health, about being biracial in spaces that were never built for her. That makes her a target, and every time someone tries to create a snub narrative, it's an attempt to chip away at her credibility and dignity. But here's the thing about Meghan, and this is why her detractors stay mad. She keeps winning. She keeps showing up with purpose, with style, and with projects that actually mean something. While they're writing clickbait about imaginary shade from Mariah Carey, Meghan is quietly building her lifestyle brand, working on new media projects, supporting Harry with Invictus and raising 2 beautiful children. As for Mariah, she doesn't need the drama. This is a woman who has seen it all. And I genuinely believe she respects Meghan, not just because Meghan had her on the podcast, but because Meghan's journey mirrors something Mariah herself knows very well. The experience of being underestimated, misunderstood, and yet refusing to dim your light. The press can try to spin this however they want, but if you go back to the actual Archetypes episode, you'll hear 2 women, both icons in their own right, laughing, sharing, and learning from each other. That's not the vibe of people who don't like each other. That's the vibe of 2 professionals who understand what it's like to live under constant public scrutiny. So my advice to all those gleefully writing Mariah snubbed Meghan articles, try harder. This isn't a story, this is filler. This is your desperation showing, and frankly it's embarrassing. And to everyone listening right now, don't fall for the tabloid trap. When you see these headlines, ask yourself, who benefits from this narrative? Who gains from making Meghan look unpopular? And why do they keep trying the same tired tactics when it's clear Meghan's influence is only growing? Because here's the truth. Meghan Markle is not going anywhere, and neither is her power to shape conversations, to connect with global figures, and to inspire people all over the world. Mariah Carey knows it, we know it. The only people pretending otherwise are the ones whose business model depends on Meghan being torn down, and that's why we'll keep calling it out, every single time. Meghan Markle appears to suffer snub as Mariah Carey discusses meeting royal. Mariah Carey appeared to snub Meghan Markle during a new interview, despite previously featuring on the Duchess of Sussex's podcast. Vertical bar. The music icon was one of Meghan's first guests on her Archetypes podcast. Mariah Carey appeared to snub Meghan Markle during a new interview, despite previously featuring on the Duchess of Sussex's podcast. The pop star was asked about her interactions with members of the royal family ahead of her performance at Sandringham later this month. Carey was asked who she had met from the royal family but failed to mention Meghan, instead naming the Duchess of York. She said, "Fergie, Sarah Ferguson, I thought she was cool." During her appearance on Meghan's Archetypes podcast in 2022, Carey and Meghan discussed the term diva. Meghan said, "I think that's really important for people to remember that there might be this persona, and yes, the diva thing we can play into. It's not something I connect to." However, Carey disagreed with the Duchess of Sussex, insisting, "You give us diva moments sometimes, Meghan." Carey continued, "It's also the visual, it's the visual. A lot of it is the look. Let's pretend that you weren't so beautiful and didn't have the whole thing and didn't often have gorgeous ensembles. You wouldn't maybe get as much diva dot." During her appearance on Meghan's Archetypes podcast in 2022, Carey and Meghan discussed the term diva. Vertical bar, Getty. "I don't care, I'm like, when I can, I'm going to give you diva." Meghan said, regarding her interaction with Carey on the podcast, "My fangirling was tempered today. I kind of think she could tell. But, that aside, it was all going swimmingly, really well. Until that moment happened, which I don't know about you, but it stopped me in my tracks when she called me a diva. You couldn't see me, obviously, but I started to sweat a little bit and started squirming in my chair, in this quiet revolt, like, wait, no, what? How could you? That's not true. Why would you say that?" Meghan Markle's Archetypes podcast was part of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's deal with Spotify. Vertical bar, Getty. "My mind was genuinely just spinning with what nonsense she must have read or clicked on to make her say that, and I just kept thinking in that moment, was my girl crush coming to a quick demise? Does she actually not see me? So she must have felt my nervous laughter, and you would have all heard it too, and she jumped straight in to make sure I was crystal clear when she said diva. She was talking about the way that I dress, the posture, the clothing, the quote-unquote fabulousness as she sees it. She meant diva as a compliment. But I heard it as a dig. I heard it as the word diva as I think of it. But in that moment, as she explained to me, she meant it as chic, as aspirational, and how one very charged word can mean something different for each of us. It's mind-blowing to me." So, Royal Sussex Squad, if you're tired of the lies, if you're done with the smear campaigns, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment letting me know you're not buying into this nonsense. And if you want to support the work we do here, keeping the truth alive and standing up for Harry and Meghan, you can donate through Super Thanks. Every contribution helps us keep going strong. Because the haters may have the headlines, but we have the facts, and we have the Sussex Squad. And trust me, that's a force they'll never be able to snub.